China versus US. The Battle of Promises and Actions. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on our channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that has been making headlines lately. It's all about the recent visit of Tony Blinken to China and the state of China-US relations. Now, let me tell you, it's a complicated situation, and it's gonna take more than Blinken's visit to thaw these relations. Trust me, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's get started. Back in 2016, when Blinken last visited Beijing, things were looking much better for China-US relations. He was part of a big delegation attending various bilateral dialogues, and no one could have predicted that things would take such a drastic turn. But what went wrong? Well, some experts argue that the deterioration of ties between these two global powers is almost inevitable. Signs of trouble were already emerging during the Obama era, and the Trump years deepened that sense of inevitability. And now, under Joe Biden, things are still pretty tense, if not even more so. Here's the thing, the Biden administration's China policy seems a bit schizophrenic, to put it bluntly. On one hand, they make all these promises to China, assuring them that they're not seeking a new Cold War, not trying to change China's system, and not looking for conflict. Heck, there were even 11 assurances made when Biden met with President Xi Jinping last year. But when it comes to action, it's a whole different story. The US keeps pushing this democracy versus autocracy narrative. They're forming confrontational alliances like the Quad, and there are allegations of Chinese spying in Cuba. It's like they're trying to revive the Cold War era and drum up support for more China bashing. And that's not all. The US has been crossing some red lines by engaging with Taiwan, despite China's clear opposition. All of this is seen as a breach of the agreements made in Bali, and it's causing a lot of outrage in China. Now, let's talk about cooperation. Even in areas where the US seeks China's help, they've been doing more harm than good. Take the fentanyl crisis, for example. China scheduled all fentanyl-related substances for years ago, as requested by the US. But the US itself hasn't done enough to curb the demand for the drug domestically. And now they have the audacity to ask China to ban the precursors, which are legal chemicals traded worldwide. Not cool, guys. And instead of asking nicely, the US has gone ahead and sanctioned Chinese law control agencies and charged Chinese individuals and companies. I mean, seriously, who would want to help or cooperate with the US when all they get in return is smearing and coercion? Another area where China feels betrayed is climate change. While pressuring China for climate cooperation, the Biden administration has detained a bunch of imported solar panels from China at its border. That's not the way to build trust and collaboration, my friends. And let's not forget about communication. The US has been sending mixed signals left and right. They want open lines of communication with China, but at the same time, they've put sanctions on Secretary of Defense Austin and increased military personnel in Taiwan, knowing full well that it would anger the Chinese. These moves just poison the atmosphere and make it harder for constructive dialogue to take place. So, what lies beneath all these US actions? Well, it's a profound shift in how they see and approach China. The US has declared that its previous approach of engagement with China has failed, and now they're taking a much tougher stance against what they consider their most consequential geopolitical challenge. This change in perception is not just about China's rise, but also about America's own desire to maintain its leadership role in the world. You see, the US has always seen the world through its own historical lens. They've been the victor in 2 world wars and the Cold War, so they're used to being on the winning side. They haven't experienced a serious decline that dethrones them as the world's superpower. And that has led to a sense of American exceptionalism and a belief that they'll forever remain the only hegemon on this planet. But now, with China's rise, that worldview is being shaken. Even though China has no intention of displacing the US, the fact that it has the potential to do so is seen as a threat. And that's why the U.S. is intensifying its bashing, isolation, and kneecapping of China. This, in turn, has dampened China's confidence in forging a peaceful and cooperative relationship with the U.S. They've gone from strategic mistrust to strategic distrust, and the say-do gap of the Biden administration hasn't helped either. China now suspects that the U.S. is only making assurances for political expediency without any intention of following through. No wonder they're becoming less interested in talking to the U.S. Now, it's worth mentioning that during Blinken's visit, the Chinese side played their part as gracious hosts. They engaged in lengthy discussions, showing a principled and rational approach. They even mentioned areas of agreement between the two sides, which is a rarity in recent years. But the ball is now in the U.S. court. The Chinese side will be closely watching their follow-up actions. Blinken's visit and his pacifying words are not enough to thaw the relations if the U.S. continues with actions that suggest otherwise. It's high time for the Biden administration to show some consistency. Cutthroat competition and hostility are dangerous in major power interactions, but misreading intentions and double-dealing can be even worse. So, what do you guys think about all this? Do you believe the U.S. and China can find a way to improve their relations? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. Also, make sure to follow us on our Telegram channel, where we can share uncensored content that we can't post here due to certain restrictions. You'll find the link to our Telegram channel in the comments or our profile. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.